Us, it was a quick turnaround coming off the game with yesterday being a Sunday and a Monday for the team. With the Friday game this week, it was awesome. It was a good experience to be able to play in Albertson Stadium, and for the first time this past weekend, and be able to defend the blue. We're really excited about what the guys were able to do. We're proud of them, and looking forward to being able to grow from the things that that we were able to get done in that game, both good, the things we need to improve. And it was awesome to see all the guys flip the switch, came back with some energy yesterday, and then obviously jumping in the pads and getting our first big practice in this morning. There was a lot of urgency and a lot of focus. We had some fun out there as we were prepping to get ready for our next opportunity this week. I wanted to update you guys on Marco. Marco is going to be out for the remainder of the season due to a lower leg injury, and so we're praying for him and his recovery. We're very excited about Marco as an inside linebacker and the things that he brings to this team. Obviously, it's unfortunate that his season got cut short, but we know that he will return and stronger and better than ever. With that, I'd like to move on and answer some questions about this week and this week's opponent with UTEP.
Coach, you guys have been so dominant against the run the past 2 weeks. I know you said Saturday that it was a group effort, but every defensive lineman that went in the game made a big impact. How much of an effect has that improved depth on the defensive line played against the run?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've been working on, for months now, and you just see the amount of pride, the defensive front takes in their job and how they execute their job. And it's a lot of work every week to be able to figure out the run schemes and the leverages on the fronts based off the different run schemes you get, and then to be able to handle your techniques to do your job. And it starts obviously with the defensive line and the edge guys, so that the linebackers and the safeties have clean fits. And so we're very proud of the discipline the guys have played with and the physicality at the line of scrimmage. But I'll say this is going to be, one of our biggest tests this week. UTEP's offensive line is really good. They're big, they're athletic, and they run almost every run scheme there is. So we're going to have to be very diligent with our preparation this week on a short week.
Andy, on the broadcast, they mentioned that in the offseason, you guys had a quote, serious coaching conversation about what type of team you wanted to be on offense, and ultimately determined, not so much as a spread thing, but just really wanted to establish the run game. What were those conversations like in the offseason coming to that?
I didn't have that conversation with them, so I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Your run game and getting George going over 100 yards, and just how important is it going to be to have the running game being productive to move forward?
Yeah, so I mean we obviously, number one, we got to personnel, make sure that we're getting the right guys in the right positions, not only from the running back standpoint, but the different personnels and the formations that we're going to be able to leverage and gain leverage on defenses. And then it comes down to playing with a certain mentality at the line of scrimmage. How we come off the ball, how we play with great pad level, how we play with our hands. Those are the things that are important that we're already building off of starting yesterday afternoon. Things that obviously we got to be more consistent with. And this past weekend, I mean, we ran the ball for 4.1 yards a carry. We like we talked about, we took some big losses on some sacks, and that obviously kills the rushing stats. So there are things there definitely that we can continue to build off of, that we must build off, and we will. The guys are, they showed that this morning. They're excited to get back to work.
You were here when Jay and J-Mac were here, and those guys would get 30, 35 touches in a game, and George proved that he could handle 33 the other day. So what does it take for him to get right and make sure that he's in a position where he might be able to do that again this week? I mean, it's obviously a tough task to do, probably.
Yeah, there's no question. Especially, you touch the ball as many times as he did this past weekend, and you jump into a short week and you go back out there on a Monday for a Tuesday practice. That's not easy. But let me tell you, he was back out there doing it today. As much as that is too, it's on us to help, as we did with those backs in the past. Playing that running back position is a little bit different. You got to make sure that you take care of those guys in terms of their workload throughout the week. Make sure they're squared away on all their responsibilities and assignments, but make sure that they're fresh when it's time to go. And that's not just George, that's the other running backs. That's in a short week like this, that's the whole team.
What did you see out of George's? Touches piled up and didn't seem to fall off at all. And he's a pretty quiet guy, but after the game, he had a smile on his face. That I think he was pleased with what he was able to do last Saturday.
Yeah, obviously he was able to get going pretty early on there, and again, it wasn't just running the ball, right? We created some space for him too in special teams, and he was able to create some serious field position, and that's awesome. That's where dynamic players like that are able to change the game, not just running the ball, but catching the ball. He had a big third down catch, that kept the drive going, on the positive side of the field, and then ended up having another catch to score a touchdown. So the multiple ways that he can do it, and again, he does it a certain way, but that's what we ask out of our running back position in general.
You guys have seemingly, to me at least, thrown the ball more to the running backs out of the backfield. Is that a conscious effort, something that you decided you guys want to do more this year?
Well, if teams aren't going to account for the running back, and make it a priority to cover him, then the quarterback's got to take what the defense gives him.
How much concern?
Go ahead.
Thanks, Ryder. Kind of a specialized topic, but hope you'll indulge me here. There are a lot of women that contribute to this program behind the scenes. How does their roles affect the success on game day?
Well, their roles affect the success in the everyday operation. That a lot of times, Brooke, Sophie, the women in the training room, the women in our film department, the women in our equipment department, they help keep the wheels on this bus moving. They're a huge part of our family here, and we're just very grateful for the time commitment they put in and their dedication and what they bring to the program.
When you do your self-scout, what did you see from the offense in the second half? What kind of concerns did you have outside of maybe George?
Well, what we want to grow forward, Mike, for UTEP going on this week is what we can take and apply to what the defensive structures that we're going to see this week, because that's the most important thing right now, right? Is how do we apply what we did last week? Because last week was last week, this week's this week. We're not going to see a 3-man front this week. So this week we're going to see a 4-man front from UTEP's defense. We are going to see cover 4, which we did see. So the front structure that we're going to have to be able to be successful against this week is going to be way different than it was last week. So some of the mid-zone schemes and targeting and stuff like that, and the techniques that we've got to be consistent with executing up front, we can learn from last week what we need to do better this week. And like I said, we got a big start on that last night in our team's walkthrough, and then obviously today the guys did a good job with it today. So it's just the consistency, Mike, with the different fronts and pressures we're getting, at the end of the day, it's playing with great pad level up front and playing physical with our hands. That's one of the biggest things that where we can continue to improve.
What about Hank in terms of where he's at after a couple of games? How do you feel like he's playing?
Yeah, he's I think we all know that we left some plays on the table the other day, but he also made some plays, and so this being going into the 4th week of the season here, it's a long season left to go, and we're excited about that from the standpoint, Mike, is that each and every week we got to grow, and we got to be able to move forward and improve on the things that we didn't do well. The biggest thing is we got to take care of the ball, Mike. We obviously cannot give up the ball and put the ball on the ground the way we did in the last game, and he knows that. And he takes pride in what he does, and that's something that he will correct.
You jumped on the offensive line a little bit after the game, saying you need more, you need better production from those guys, better protection. How can you fix this offensive line?
Well, I don't think I necessarily jumped on the offensive line. Like I said, if we know football and we watch football, there's 5-man protections, there's 6-man protections, there's 7-man protections, and that was my point. There's only how many offensive linemen on the field, so there's other guys involved too. And I'll be honest with you, I think you guys very well know I'm not going to single our guys out, but there's only 5 linemen on the field, and when we're in 7-man protections, it's not always just the offensive line. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to single myself out. It starts with me making sure that we understand how we can be more efficient in our protections, everybody involved in those protections. And that's what we've been able to grow from, that we're going to have to be able to apply this week as we face, obviously, UTEP, so that we can be better and we can take more advantage and not leave plays out there on the field. Because, again, it's not just one guy. It's collective.
What does UTEP's defense do that's unique? You mentioned they pick up 4th run as opposed to 3.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the number of points they've given up and 7 turnovers, to give just 27 up, they've got to be doing something.
Right, and so I mean, and you look at the opponents they've played too. I mean, they've played some pretty good teams, and I will say this, that they are going to play an aggressive style of defense. It is a 4-man front cover 4 team, and we will expect to get a lot of heavy pressure. We will expect to get some safety blitzes, some linebacker blitzes to attack our offensive front.
What about their offense? I know the quarterback is the same that we saw last year, Hardison.
Yes, sir.
What else? What do
Well,
they do?
you know, one thing that is consistent is their passing attack. They've got a lot of speed at wide receiver, okay? And although they may not have the production in the run game that they had last year, their O-line, I will go on and say that if they're not the best, they'll be the second best that we face this year. From the standpoint of how they move, all the different run schemes that they're able to execute, and the physicality that they play with. Now, you know, their commitment to the run game, I believe they're going to commit and try to, you know, establish the run game, because that's when they've been successful. That's when they were successful last year. You know, when they got off to a fast start.
You guys have been you've been one of the best third down defenses in the country this year. Last 2 games, I mean, your opponents are combined 2 for 25, I believe it is. What's led to your success there? And I mean, you guys call that a money down for a reason, but what's led to your success there?
Again, it's the preparation. It's the guys studying. You know, obviously the coaches studying and creating a plan, and then making sure that the guys understand the details of the plan because of what we're getting on third downs, and understanding the windows, right? Because third and medium is way different than third and long, and I think that we have a defense that plays all together, and they know that the coverage is depending on the front to get, you know, pressure on the quarterback, and the amount of work that goes into it every week, much like the run game, it's a lot. I mean, it's all the way up until the walkthroughs before the games, where the details of making sure that we're dialed in and we know what we're doing like the back of our hand. I mean, the commitment of the guys that do so has been awesome. Now, it's every single week. You know, for us to be successful on third down this week, it's going to take a lot because of, again, the wide receivers they have and the quarterback. He's got a great arm and he can make every throw in the park. I mean, he'll make the 15-yard out throw on the far, you know, from the far hash, and they've got some wide receivers that can stretch the field.
You guys play more dime than like you guys played in a while. I mean, what'd you think of that? And is that something with Tudor coming in and the way some of Jay on the line a little more? I mean, did you like that in case you needed more later in the season?
We spoke about it, but I'm pretty sure we spoke about it after the game. So BJ, we played 3 totally different styles of offense in the first 3 games, right? We played a pro style to start. We played triple option, zone read, RPO in the second game. This last game was totally different. It was more of a spread approach that could get into some 12 personnel sets. So we have the ability to get in different defensive structures depending on the type of offense we're seeing. We spent a lot of time over the off season building those things, and it's we're able to cover the space on the field. You know, if you're in dime and you have more DBs, you can leverage formations. You can switch up coverages and make sure that we get the right help where we need the help on certain wide receivers.
That's about third down, but it goes to red zone too. You guys haven't, the last 2 opponents haven't taken a snap inside the red zone, let alone the 31, I want to say. We're talking with some of the players, and they've adopted this nickname called the boneyard, I guess, where they want, you know, you don't want it to be enjoyable when you're on the defense, on the field with them. Do you think that is something that a mentality they have adopted? And
I don't know what you're talking about.
Scott Matlock, seems like he's been below these games. What type of season has he having? What are you seeing on tape that's really sticking out, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, he's been consistent in the run game, in the pass game, you know, and generating a pass rush, and you know, he gets a lot of attention. So, you know, it's not like he's getting a lot of one-on-one blocks either. And that's the thing about it. You know, that what goes into playing that position, it's not glorified very often. Sometimes guys' stat lines aren't very, they don't look very productive. But when we grade the film and the amount of production he gets from the standpoint of what he does as an interior D lineman and what he creates and the amount of attention he generates, I mean, he's been awesome. And so there's definitely areas that, you know, we're focusing on even for him coming out of the last game. There's areas where he wants to get better, that he knows he needs to get better. So we're off to a good start with him, with a lot of time left to play, and like anyone and everyone else, we just got to keep improving now because he's doing a really good job.
We're going to talk to Kate Beresford, I guess, this week. Well, coming in, you know, as a transfer, and I know, you know, the line hasn't been perfect, but how do you think Kate's fit in, you know, at right tackle?
I mean, number one, he's an unbelievable young man. Have him come into this program and jump in and gain the respect of the team. And, not only who he is as a person, but his work ethic and his ability to jump in and compete to be in the starting lineup. It's helped a ton in a position that we're still developing a lot of young depth behind him. So it's given us a guy that has experience of playing college football, competitive college football, and that's a big deal. You know, it's to be able to step out there and line up against the type of edge players that people are recruiting, you know, in this game today. That's hard work playing tackle.
We've seen LaBeouf and Canio competing to kind of be the first corner off the bench this year. Has one of those guys separated themselves in that competition?
You know what? Both of them have done really well. Really proud of those guys and how they've competed and grown. And you know, LaBeouf too isn't only playing corner; he's playing, you know, other positions. He's playing a little bit of safety too. So it's been cool to really see him take on more roles and be able to be flexible within the defensive structures, the different packages that we have. And so we just got to continue to keep growing.
What does that say about his football IQ to be able to play both those positions?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a pretty good football IQ. It's been that way since he's got here, and he cares and he's passionate about it. And we just, you know, with the nature of the defenses we play, those corners got to be able to hold up out there. And we've seen that, you know, especially a couple weeks ago, there's going to be a lot of shots taken on those guys. And so that's on us too, to be able to mix in some different coverages and do some things to provide those guys some relief.
Obviously, you've got a million responsibilities as a head coach. I mean, what's your involvement in terms of the offensive preparation and even, you know, game day play calling and things like that?
So again, for this week and preparing for UTEP, you know, my responsibility is to help run the scout team and make sure that the scout team is giving us the looks that we need so that we can be better in the run game in terms of having the quality looks to prepare ourselves so what it's going to look like on game day. My responsibility in terms of the offense is to know and understand the overall organization of the offense, to help implement different things in terms of defensive structures and provide knowledge on defensive structures and what defenses are doing.
Jonah's been really solid for you guys in the last couple of weeks. That can be such a mental thing. He rebounded so well from the season opener. What have you seen out of Jonah in the last couple of weeks?
You know, just persistent and, you know, consistent with it. I think the biggest thing there is that, you know, it's the hard work we put in every single week that gets us ready for game day. And, you know, in this game right here, we got 18 to 22, 23-year-olds playing and growing. You go to college to learn and grow. You're going to go through some stuff at times that aren't, you know, exactly ideal, but we're never going to let those situations of adversity define us. We're going to be defined by how we respond. And there's plenty of other young men in this program that have not let adversity define them. And we're really excited about him and where he's going and what he's doing. You know, obviously, we got to continue on that track.
Ahmed Hassan is one of those young D linemen that have seen some playing time in the last couple of weeks. Physically, has anything impressed you about him in the last couple of years?
I think, well, number one, the experience he did get last season. You know, getting the reps he did, that's huge. You know, it's the start of this year. It's not the first time that he's been, you know, inside the paint on a college football field. So his knowledge of the defense is drastically grown, drastically. Now, he's a guy too, mind you, that has played inside and has played on the edge. And so we're really excited about his overall development. His physical development for a guy his age is pretty high. I mean, he's one of the strongest guys on the team. He's quick, he's explosive for a 290-pound guy. So we're excited about where he's growing, and we want to continue, obviously, to provide him opportunities to have an impact.
What's your best or most memorable story about Herb Guns?
Big Herb, probably what's a consistent one. It's every Friday when he goes in to practice his package on offense, and everybody gets so excited on the whole team. The whole team goes crazy.
Marco being out, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to expect you to talk about Zeke, but we saw him leave. Who's the next man up? Who's getting opportunities on a short week this week to jump into that spot?
Right. So, DJ has played that spot too, being in certain packages and things like that. Right. So, and Zeke has been such a tremendous player for us as well, and we're excited about what both those guys have done, and we're facing somewhat of a similar structure this week, where we'll see a lot more fullbacks and two tight end sets than we did last week. So we're gonna need a big game from both Zeke and DJ, and love the way Drew Simpson's coming along. Brandon Hawkins and those guys they've been practicing pretty well, and then Ty Tanner's another guy that is jumping in there and getting some reps with the linebackers. Behind the scenes, we're constantly building the threes, building guys that we don't even talk about in here that are making huge gains. And so, Coach Steed's been doing a good job with that group, obviously.
How different are the two positions, the two linebacker spots, and can most play both?
No, they are different. In the run game, it's probably easier, but there's just certain things within the coverage that younger guys can't. Older guys like DJ, a lot more experience, they understand the overall structures of the coverages. Young guys, it's very difficult to have younger guys play two positions. That's asking a lot. For most, a few may here or there, but not very many can play both.
What do you make of this matchup and this series that you had, and going down there to play them at the Sun Bowl? And obviously, I know you guys recruit Texas, is like corner of Texas, but I mean, what do you make just of going down there on Friday?
It's a huge, it's going to be a huge challenge. Again, they have shown to be with this offense very productive. I mean, they've had a wide receiver group that has been extremely productive, and a run game that has been extremely productive. Going on the road again on a short week and getting ourselves ready and prepared is going to take a lot of diligence. Obviously, getting to go play, in Texas, is a big deal. We got a lot of guys on our team from Texas, and so it's a huge opportunity for us. And like we always talk about, it's the most important one because it's the only one this week, and we got to have another practice tomorrow like we did today to continue to get ready, because the guys did an exceptional job today coming back and practicing.
Just to build up that, you guys do recruit Texas a lot, but you guys haven't played there very often. I mean,
Right.
Would you like to play more games in Texas? And,
Yeah.
and is it useful?
I would like to play more games in Texas, and I know Jeremiah would as well, and our players do. It's one of our it's one of the biggest areas that we recruit. So we would like to do that. Again, it's always exciting. I mean, for players, whether we're going and playing in Oregon, California. The California guys, when we get to go back and play in California, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for these young men. They moved away. We remember what it was when we went away to college, and to be a part of something like this and get to play college football and go back home and play in your home state, it is a big deal. And that's just a piece of it that should motivate us to even do the extra we need to in our preparation to be our very best.
With Cole Wright, I know we asked him a lot lately, but he continues to earn more opportunities and take advantage of them. Some in return game too. We're going to talk to him this week. What's he doing to continuously keep getting more and more chances out there?
He just takes advantage of them, whether it be a practice, and obviously we've seen it show up in the games now. And what he does at practice, he does in the game. So you know what you're going to get from Cole. And he's a talented guy. Again, last year he was on scout team for the most part last year, but some of the fits he was giving us on scout team last year, I mean, he made it very challenging on the defense, and now he gets his opportunity to do that, on game day.
Ask questions.